Somewhere beneath the calm waters of Folsom Lake, an entire town sits frozen in time. Streets that once bustled with fortune seekers now lie silent on the lakebed. Buildings that house dreams of gold and glory stand submerged, their walls holding secrets from over 170 years ago. This is Mormon Island, a gold rush boomtown that rose fast, burned bright, and eventually disappeared beneath the waves. The year was 1848, and gold had just been discovered in California. That single word, gold, sent shockwaves across the entire nation. People dropped everything. Farmers abandoned their fields, shopkeepers closed their doors. Thousands upon thousands of people made the dangerous journey west, all chasing the same glittering dream. Among these fortune seekers were members of the Mormon Battalion. These soldiers were heading home after fighting in the Mexican-American War when they stumbled upon something that would change everything. Gold! Right there at the South Fork of the American River. News traveled fast back then, even without phones or internet. Within weeks, word had spread across the country. People came flooding in from every direction, desperate to get their hands on California gold. A town springs up overnight. What happened next was remarkable. The area transformed almost overnight. First came the tents, simple canvas shelters thrown up wherever there was space. Then, those tents became wooden shacks, and those shacks eventually became proper buildings with foundations and roofs. By the early 1850s, Mormon Island had grown into a genuine town. We're talking hotels, saloons, and even a post office so people could write home to families they'd left behind. The work was backbreaking. Mining for gold meant long hours in freezing water, sifting through endless pans of sediment for those precious flakes. But the dream kept everyone going. Every morning brought new hope that today might be the day they'd strike it rich. Life on the frontier. Living in Mormon Island wasn't for the faint of heart. This was frontier territory, raw and unforgiving. Fire was a constant enemy. The wooden buildings that made up the town were basically kindling, waiting for a spark. When flames broke out, and they did, regularly, entire blocks could disappear in hours. The residents would watch their homes and businesses burn, then start rebuilding the very next day. Then there was the American River itself. That same river that brought the gold could turn deadly without warning. Heavy rains upstream would send walls of water crashing through town, flooding streets and destroying everything in their path. But here's what's remarkable about the people of Mormon Island. They never gave up. Every time disaster struck, they picked themselves up and started over. That kind of resilience defined the gold rush spirit. Fast forward about 100 years to the mid-20th century. California was growing rapidly, and all those new residents needed water. The state came up with a solution: build a massive dam on the American River. Folsom Dam would create a reservoir big enough to supply water to communities across the region. It was progress. It was necessary. But it came at a cost. Mormon Island sat directly in the path of the rising waters. In 1955, the dam was completed and the valley began to flood. Slowly, steadily, the waters of the newly formed Folsom Lake crept up the streets of Mormon Island. They swallowed the foundations of buildings. They covered the roads where miners once walked. They claimed the entire town. Just like that, Mormon Island vanished beneath the surface. For years, Folsom Lake became exactly what planners intended: a recreational paradise. Boaters cruised its waters, fishermen cast their lines, families spread blankets on its shores for summer picnics. But Mormon Island hadn't forgotten how to make an appearance. During drought years, when the lake levels dropped dramatically, something eerie would happen. The water would recede, and the town would start to emerge. First, just the tops of old foundations poking through the mud. Then, entire building outlines becoming visible. Rusty artifacts from another era breaking through the cracked earth. It was like watching a ghost materialize. These moments when the water pulls back have become opportunities for visitors to experience something truly unique. People can actually walk the streets of Mormon Island, the same paths that gold miners traveled over 170 years ago. The vegetation has grown wild over the ruins. Weathered tombstones in the old cemetery tell stories of lives cut short on the frontier. Every brick, every nail, Every piece of rusted metal is a connection to real people who lived, worked, and dreamed in this place. There's something powerful about standing where history happened. You can almost hear the sounds, picks striking rock, voices calling out across the mining claims, the general noise of a community fighting to survive and thrive. Today, Mormon Island is protected land. The California State Park system works to preserve whatever the lake hasn't claimed. When the water drops low enough, the area opens for exploration, with informational signs guiding visitors through the ruins. Artifacts pulled from the site now sit in museums, giving people tangible connections to this chapter of California history. These aren't just old objects behind glass. They're pieces of real lives, tools that hands once gripped, household items that made frontier life a little more bearable. The future of Mormon Island remains a question mark. Climate change has made weather patterns increasingly unpredictable, and Folsom Lake's water levels swing more dramatically than ever before. The lake gives glimpses of the past, but it also continues to wear away at what remains. Preservation teams do what they can, but fighting time and nature is a battle without end. Mormon Island represents something larger than just one submerged town. It's a window into what the gold rush actually meant for California. The gold rush wasn't simply about getting rich, it was about transformation. People left behind everything familiar, family, friends, entire lives, and traveled thousands of miles on the slim chance of a better future. Some found fortune, many found only hardship, but all of them helped build what California would become. The state has changed dramatically since those days. Wilderness became farmland, then cities, then sprawling metropolitan areas. Technology reshaped every aspect of life, but places like Mormon Island keep the memory alive. When the waters of Folsom Lake drop and those old foundations appear, it's a reminder that history never truly disappears. It might get covered over, it might fade from everyday awareness, but it's always there, just beneath the surface. The wind that sweeps across Folsom Lake carries more than just air. It carries echoes of a time when California was wild, when fortunes could be made or lost in a single day, and when a little town called Mormon Island was the center of countless dreams. Those dreams are still there, preserved in the ruins, waiting for the next drought to bring them back into the light.
Look at that. The cabin up before the sun drops. Tomorrow we stake our claim proper. Let's see how those prospectors are doing.
Keep swirling it, the gold will settle at the bottom. There she is, nuggets the size of beans. We've struck pay dirt, boys.